Bear with me for a second. In order to determine our advertising budget, we don't just throw money against a wall and hope it sticks. We don't just choose a number out of thin air and pull it in and go, I don't know, $1,000 sounds good. Instead, we need to look at it from a result standpoint. What am I trying to accomplish? And then back into that with real math and real data. So the first thing I want to do, I want to calculate my customer acquisition cost. What should I be willing to spend? Not what do I want to spend? What should I be willing to spend in order to acquire a new customer? That means that I'm still making money with my margin. That means I'm still acquiring that customer. They're still spending a certain amount of money with me. And it means I'm not losing anything when I put the dollars into the ads to get this person. So how do I do that? I need to identify my customer lifetime value up front. How much money does a customer spend with me over their lifetime? That can be so different for every brand, but what I want to look at is what do they spend? And then I want to find my profit per customer. What am I making off of them? Now that I know that, I'm going to take that number, I'm gonna say, okay, this customer costs me, or this customer spends, let's say, $100 with me as a lifetime value, and the profit I make off of this person is 60 bucks. If I'm making 60 bucks off of that person, then realistically, I could be willing to spend up to $60 to acquire that person because I'm taking all my expenses out and everything after that first $40 is pure profit in our pocket. Again, everyone's numbers are gonna be different. That's a really good margin if you're making that, but assume that that's where we're at. If I'm making that profit, that can be my customer acquisition cost. At that point, we could stop and we could say, there's how we're gonna determine our advertising budget. How many customers do I need? How many conversions do I need? And if this is their lifetime value, this is how much I'm gonna spend. If it costs me $60 to acquire a customer and I want 100 new customers, then I need to spend $6,000. Period. End of story. There's my advertising budget. Now, we can also assume that we're going to get better results than spending a full $60 per person, but it allows us to have a cap. I would take it one step further and I would start to identify then what realistically can I expect from my spend on these individuals as well. So this is where I would go in and I'd want to calculate something that we would call a marketing kill switch. A marketing kill switch is the number, the ROAS number, return on ad spend number that we need, or the return on investment could be a number that we look at and say, once we drop below that number, everything shuts off. There's our kill switch, right? We don't want to lose money on this person, but we're willing to spend a certain amount. We're willing to spend as much as we possibly need to spend. But if our results start to drop below a certain number, we turn it off. So how do I calculate that? There's a lot of numbers that can go into it, but I would look at it and I would say, let's look at our general margin per conversion or per product or however we want to look at it. And then let's factor in our e-commerce expenses or our business expenses associated with acquiring the customer. Don't give me all your business expenses across the board. Give me the other expenses associated with acquiring this customer. So we could have merchant processing fees on Shopify. We could have credit card processing fees. We're gonna have fulfillment cost. I mean, a good rule of thumb there, $1 a minute to fulfill something. Great, if it takes me 3 minutes to pack something in a bag and ship it out, let's add another $3 to it. Right, I'm gonna go through all of these different points and then I'm gonna put my marketing costs into what's it cost me that I'm not getting money back on for marketing, put all that in there, and then now we're going to take that number and we're gonna say, here's how much money we can spend to get a new customer, and here's the return on ad spend I need in order to break even. That then sets our kill switch. If that number says, if I put $1 in, I need to get $5 back in order to make any money on this, then 5 is our kill switch. Our return on ad spend number is 5. When I'm running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on any of these platforms, if I'm not getting a 5 ROAS, and I'm not saying 5 is the number, in this scenario it is, if I'm not getting that 5 ROAS, then I need to shut those ads off and I need to readjust and adapt. There's no reason to run ads and lose money. Let's focus on getting results. Now that can be campaign based. You have certain ads that run a little below because they're really high top of funnel ads. The bottom line is you need to run a campaign that makes you money. So it's a lot that goes into determining your budget. And I'd say a huge mistake that gets made is companies jumping in with a budget in hand up front, a goal in hand over here, and the two don't match. And then the expectations are way off at all times. Look at it and say, what's my goal? Let's work backwards and determine what it's going to cost in order to hit that goal. Don't come in with a budget and go, man, I hope for the best. If you came in with a budget of, again, $1,000 and you said, I need to make $100,000 on this, I don't know that I can get you 100 return on investment. That doesn't make sense, right? So let's look at it and build it based off of real numbers, real data, real math. Come up with your customer lifetime value, your customer acquisition costs, and work your way down so you understand what your ROAS is and what your kill switch needs to be when you shut it off for that. I hope that wasn't overly complicated, but again, it needs to be thought through.